The Panama Canal, built in Central America, is a remarkable shortcut aiding global trade for over a century. However, this vital waterway faces a grave issue: water loss. Due to decreased rainfall, water levels have dropped below normal, limiting the number of ships that can pass. Notably, the passage of ships accounting for 40% of container traffic in the United States has significantly decreased. Authorities can currently only allow 24 ships to pass daily. This situation underscores the importance of understanding the Panama Canal's current conditions and potential impact on global trade. Get ready to delve into the reasons and what it could mean for us all. The birth of the Panama Canal. Ship voyages from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean were once long and perilous. Sailors had to navigate treacherous waters and fierce winds around the tip of South America, passing through either the Drake Passage or the Strait of Magellan. The construction of the Panama Canal changed this. This engineering marvel was designed as a vast waterway along a narrow strip of land connecting North and South America. It enabled much faster travel between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, significantly shortening journeys that could take days or weeks. Spanish explorers in the 1500s realized how a canal between the two oceans would facilitate travel. Two possible locations in Panama and Nicaragua were considered, with Panama ultimately chosen. This decision was reinforced, particularly by the United States' construction of a railway there in the 1800s. Interestingly, the canal was built along the same route as the railway. The effort to dig a canal across Panama's narrow land bridge began in 1881. Colombia, which then controlled the land, granted the French company Compagnie Universelle du Canal Interoceanique permission to build the canal. This company was led by Ferdinand de Lesseps, who had successfully built the Suez Canal. De Lesseps planned to construct a sea-level canal in Panama. However, an engineer named Adolphe Godin closely examined the terrain in Panama and knew de Lesseps' plan wouldn't work. In 1879, he proposed building dams at Gatun and Miraflores to create large lakes about 25 meters deep and using the water from these rivers to fill the lakes. Godin then suggested digging a canal through the mountains to connect the lakes and using locks to raise and lower ships between different water levels. Godin's plan ultimately became the blueprint for the Panama Canal, establishing him as a visionary engineer. Unfortunately, the French company did not heed his advice. The French failure to build the Panama Canal. Ferdinand de Lesseps, as the French company's leader, displayed significant shortcomings in understanding Panama's challenges. Unlike the dry and predictable environment he encountered during the Suez Canal's construction, Panama presented entirely different conditions. Described as a humid and disease-ridden jungle, Panama had a variable terrain with heavy rains and scorching temperatures, ranging from coastal swamps to the impressive mountains of the Continental Divide. Despite adequate engineering capabilities, the overall plan lacked necessary adjustments to specific conditions and failed to establish a clear direction. Machines designed for the desert-like Suez project proved inadequate in the demanding Panamanian landscape. Coupled with the spread of tropical diseases, contributed to the project's failure, claiming countless lives. The canal's construction was both incredibly expensive and painfully slow. To reduce costs, the French company switched from a sea-level canal to a more economical design, using locks to change water levels. Unfortunately, this change failed to improve the situation, and when it became clear that the project would never be profitable, the French public's confidence in the canal and its leader dwindled. Additional funding efforts failed, and the company went bankrupt in 1889. An attempt to revive the company in 1894 fell short, and by 1898 the company was essentially defunct. The dream of completing the Panama Canal ended, and the company's sole remaining purpose was to stay together long enough to sell the unfinished project. Sadly, most of the excavation work done by the French company was not used in the later American-built canal. America's effort to build the Panama Canal. In 1902, the United States Congress's passage of the Spooner Act revived hopes. This act granted the United States the right to purchase the French company's equipment and resources and build the canal, but with one condition. A favorable agreement had to be reached with Colombia, which then ruled Panama. When negotiations with Colombia stalled, Panama declared independence in November 1903 with the support of the United States. The United States quickly recognized Panama's newly declared independence, and negotiations between the two countries soon began. These negotiations culminated in the Hay-Bunau-Varilla Treaty, signed in February 1904, establishing the Panama Canal Zone, a special zone where the United States would have control over the canal and its surroundings. With this final obstacle overcome, the United States embarked on the monumental task of building the Panama Canal in the summer of 1904. Learning from the French experience, the United States decided to build a canal with locks to prevent potential problems arising from differences in sea levels on both sides. However, challenges remained. One major obstacle was the Chagres River, flowing from the mountains in northeastern Panama to the Atlantic Ocean, with water levels dramatically fluctuating depending on rainfall. If a canal were built near the river, uncontrolled floods could easily inundate it. In 1906, President Theodore Roosevelt made a crucial decision, supporting Chief Engineer John Frank Stevens's plan to use locks, previously proposed but rejected by the French company. This plan involved constructing a massive dam at Gatun on the Chagres River. This dam aimed to control floods and create Gatun Lake, the world's largest artificial lake at the time, spanning over 32 kilometers, forming a significant portion of the canal route. The construction project required a massive effort, employing over 40,000 people at its peak. Most workers came from the West Indies, while engineers, managers, and skilled laborers were mainly from the United States. Construction demanded powerful tools and equipment. Railways were vital for transporting materials and supplies throughout the project. One of the most significant innovations was the use of over 100 steam shovels. These giant excavators played a crucial role in digging the Culebra Cut, later renamed the Gaillard Cut in honor of David Dubois Gaillard. However, the cut remained one of the most challenging aspects of the entire project. The unstable soil and rock in the area frequently caused landslides and mudslides, tragically claiming many lives. Yet, workers persisted, laboring in temperatures exceeding 38 degrees Celsius, using various tools like rock drills, dynamite, and the ever-present steam shovels to remove 73 million cubic meters of earth and rock. This relentless effort finally culminated on August 15, 1914, when the Panama Canal opened to traffic, marking the pinnacle of over 3 decades of continuous effort. The Panama Canal remains one of the most remarkable and impactful engineering achievements ever made, even today. A journey through the canal. Although the Panama Canal offers ships a significant shortcut, managing passages is not simple. The canal is built on limited space and has strict rules governing ship usage. This can be likened to a busy highway with specific lanes and regulations that everyone must follow. The canal operates on a tight schedule, so ships cannot simply arrive and expect to pass immediately. Ship captains must book time slots for passage in advance. Navigating the canal requires a series of impressive engineering feats. Ships pass through 3 sets of locks called Miraflores, Pedro Miguel, and Gatun, depending on their travel direction. These locks are like elevators that gradually raise or lower ships to different water levels. A ship traveling from the Atlantic to the Pacific enters the canal at Lyman Bay and first reaches the Gatun locks. Here, the ship is lifted 26 meters to the level of Gatun Lake. Gatun Lake, a vast artificial lake created by dams on the Chagres River, plays a crucial role in the canal system. After leaving Gatun Lake, ships travel along a channel for about 37 kilometers, reaching Gamboa. This is where the famous Gaillard Cut begins, allowing you to cross the Continental Divide and carved through the mountains. This engineering marvel is 13 kilometers long and has an average depth of 13 meters. As you descend towards the Pacific Ocean, you arrive at the Pedro Miguel locks. These locks lower the ship 9 meters to the level of Miraflores Lake. From here, a short journey awaits towards the Miraflores locks, where you make another 2-step descent to sea level. Finally, you proceed along an 11-kilometer-long channel leading to the Pacific Ocean. Throughout the journey, the canal is maintained at a minimum width of 150 meters, ensuring even the largest ships can pass safely. The Panama Canal locks are essentially giant water elevators, filled and emptied using gravity-powered water flowing from nearby lakes. The lakes are fed by the Chagres River and other rivers in the region. The locks are built in pairs to allow ships to travel in both directions simultaneously. However, operating these massive structures requires a careful touch due to their complex machinery. While small boats can safely pass through the locks on their own, special electric locomotives come into play for larger vessels. These powerful machines move along rails on the sides of the locks, using a gear system to keep the ship centered during the passage. Before entering the locks, a large chain acting as a safety net is stretched across the lock entrance. If the ship is moving at a safe speed, the chain automatically drops to the bottom of the canal, allowing the ship to pass. However, if the ship is moving too fast, the chain catches the ship and slows it down until it comes to a complete stop. If a ship breaks through the first gate, a second gate, located 15 meters behind, acts as a backup, protecting the entire system, preventing further potential damage. The combination of clever engineering and careful operation ensures the smooth and safe passage of ships through the Panama Canal. Water crisis in the canal. Each ship passage through the Panama Canal uses approximately 200 million liters of fresh water. This water is mainly sourced from artificial lakes like Gatun Lake, and maintaining their water levels heavily relies on rainfall. However, much of this rainwater eventually returns to the ocean, necessitating a unique balance between the canal's needs and the local population's water requirements. This situation is delicate because the same water sources that fill the canal also provide drinking water to over half of Panama's population, about 4.3 million people. For years, this balance hasn't been a major concern, as Panama is one of the world's rainiest countries, and historically the canal and surrounding lakes have received ample rainfall. However, the situation worsened in 2023, with 2 factors contributing to a significant drop in water levels, particularly in Gatun Lake. The first factor is a general decrease in rainfall, creating a deficit compared to usual levels. The second factor is the El Niño weather phenomenon. El Niño occurs every few years and involves warmer ocean temperatures, disrupting atmospheric circulation patterns. In Panama and other tropical countries, this disruption weakens or shifts winds that typically bring substantial rainfall. The combination of these factors has presented new challenges in sustainably managing the Panama Canal's water usage and meeting the population's water needs. The delicate balance between the canal's needs and the local population's needs has put significant pressure on Gatun Lake. The lake faces a daily deficit of about 3 billion liters of water, meaning losses exceed gains. This critical situation has caused Gatun Lake's water level to approach its lowest recorded point, even during the rainy season. What if the canal dried up completely? If the Panama Canal were to dry up, it could have devastating effects on global trade. The canal is one of the world's most important shipping routes, providing a passage between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans without requiring ships to navigate around the tip of South America. If it dries up, shipping costs would increase, leading to higher product prices. Furthermore, the ability of some countries to import and export critical materials would be jeopardized due to their dependence on the canal, potentially causing shortages of essential goods. One of the biggest challenges in this scenario would be the inadequacy of alternative shipping routes. The Panama Canal saves time and money, especially in long-distance sea transport. If the canal becomes non-functional, ships would have to follow much longer and more expensive routes. This would slow down supply chains and increase the cost of international trade worldwide. Additionally, such a situation could lead to environmental problems. The drying up of the canal could have unpredictable effects on the region's ecosystems. In addition to local flora and fauna, human communities could also be negatively affected by this change. In the long run, the drying up of the Panama Canal could have profound and lasting effects worldwide, both economically and environmentally. What do you think would be the biggest challenge if the Panama Canal dried up? Share your thoughts in the comments section.